You guys might have to hit the little button that says that you know that I am recording. All right, so guys, last week we talked about setting goals. We talked about the non-negotiables. So hopefully if you guys weren't on the call live, you kind of had a chance to go back to it. I did drop it in the tribe group a few right after the call. So we talked about focusing on like our vision, our goals, and getting the results based on non-negotiables. And a lot of you guys that were on that call, I've seen huge movement with you. We also talked about SMART goals, things like that. So do we have any questions on that, or does that feel really good? We all watched it. So the one thing that I want to move into now is more about, I want to talk more about, how do I want to put this? Paralyzing ourselves with perfection. Has anybody heard that? If you have heard that before, all you have to do is drop some fire in the chat. Let me know, yep, I've heard about that before, but it's called paralyzing yourself with perfection. And if you're guilty of that, drop a hand, raise your hand, say me in the chat box. I know I can say me. And this happens a lot, guys, when we want to do our best. So I can be very, very guilty of paralyzing myself with perfection. So what that means, and if I explain this to you, you might go, I might see some more me's in there. So if it's a thing about when it's an all or nothing type of attitude. So we go all in, we've got big goals, and then we have a little bit of a slip up, and because we weren't perfect, we start to paralyze ourselves and we start to self-sabotage. Have we ever done that before? Just throw in the towel. Fuck it. Never mind. It ain't it. Been there? Yeah. Guilty. Yep. So it's called paralyzing yourself with perfection. You literally feel paralyzed, guys. Have you ever felt that before? Like you're like, you don't know what to do. You have a fear of moving forward. You have a fear of doing so. It's like, just fuck it. I'm just gonna stick my head in the sand and I'm gonna just stay right here in my little safe place. So a lot of times where I see this taking place with us in the tribe, I call it ghosting. You run away from a check-in. You don't check in with me. Or better yet, you don't check in with yourself because holy shit, something happened. Those non-negotiables weren't hit. You fell off, something, right, happened. And it's easier. You're paralyzed. You don't know what to do. So you just do nothing. Make sense? Drop some chat, say, makes sense. Me, I got it. I have been there, felt it. So what I want to do today, if you guys are all open, is talk about how do we move forward past that? How do we get, what does it look like? Talk a little bit more about it, and how do we get through it? Because it's going to happen to all of us at one point in time. Do we agree? Raise your hand if you agree. Hi, Jackie. She's moving. She's moving like lightning speed. I can see her.
You guys, I'm throwing a giant party today, and so I'm going to be very busy.
A giant party that you're going to behave very well for, right? This is a perfect
yeah, of course, Jules. My guy turned 40 today.
Woo!
So we are celebrating.
Yay! Yay! I love it. Oh, somebody's got their first forum shirt on. I love that, Lisa. All right, guys. So if you ever heard, and I'm going to drop it later in this chat box for you guys, the tale of two wolves. So it's an old Indian tale. It's called the Tale of Two Wolves. And what it is there's two wolves that are fighting in a nutshell. Okay, there's more to it. I'll drop the YouTube link. You can watch it really quickly in the chat. But there's an evil wolf and there's a good wolf. The evil wolf is compromised, or he's full of quit, fear, ego, superiority, greed, regret, sadness, fear, all of these things. Wolf number 2 is the good wolf. He's full of peace, joy, humility, compassion, happiness, all of these things. They get into a fight. And the tale of the story is about who wins. So the grandfather is telling the child, Indian, in this story about the tale of two wolves. And the child basically says, well, who wins? And the grandfather simply says, the one you feed. So the moral of the story, guys, is when we get paralyzed by perfection, does it make sense what I'm talking about? It's the wolf we feed. And we all have two wolves, these two wolves that live inside of us. I quite often will refer to one as my higher self and the other one as my ego. And they both live together and they're both there. And whomever you feed is the one that will always win. So that's a lot of times what I want you guys to think about is like when you get into the situation, which you will, which one are you going to feed? Are you going to feed the evil wolf, the ego, the fear, the I can't, or are you going to feed the other wolf, the higher self that's full of peace, joy, has a positive attitude and giving yourself grace? So that's kind of like a little bit of the story because we're all going to wind up there. So it's really leaning into that. And how do we move forward through it? So a lot of times what you really need to do, guys, is like keeping the goal in mind. So when the shit happens, which it's going to, something happened, the first thing that I always like to say to help feed the other wolf, the intuition, is first give yourself grace. It happens. It happens. It happened. It happened, and now move forward. The second part of that is, what is the lesson? What did I learn from this? So give yourself grace. What's the lesson? What have you learned from it? And what can you do differently to move past it in the future? Make sense? Because otherwise, what happens is we fall off the goal. We don't give ourselves grace. So we hide, we shut down, and we're tempted to give up. Am I correct? Did I nail it? Drop. Yeah, hell yeah, you nailed it. So that's what happens. So we want to go the other way and we want to move forward by giving ourselves, sorry guys, I have notes, otherwise I go off track on you. We want to give ourselves grace, learn, move on, and go at it again. It's okay. We're not perfect. Shit happens. And the name of the game is consistency. And here's what I'm going to say a lot. There's nothing that anybody here can do in 1 week that can fuck up your results that I can't fix. You wait 2, 3, 4. Now you've fallen back into a habit. And now it's going to take us a little bit of work to get back. But there's not a damn thing that you can do that I can't fix, help you move forward past, and learn a lesson from, and give you tools so that when you're faced with this again, it's not as big a challenge. What do we think of that? Who's gonna hide? Who's going to take a new approach going forward? Does this make sense? Is this something, a tool that you guys can use? Hell yes. All right. So things that are helpful to do this on your own, even on your own, is think about creating a daily tracker. So you all have, I believe back in the beginning, I gave you guys a freebie on a journal. I'm also going to drop that link in here too, so you guys can download my journal. In there is a task or a daily like task list. You can use that. You can create your own, but just, or a habit tracker. What I suggest that you do, and something that I'd like you guys to focus on as homework, is start to track your habits. I know, pain in the ass, but what are the habits, especially if you're running into these hiccups? So start to track your habits. Once you start to track your habits, and then you can start to see the triggers. Once you track the habits and you see the triggers that are causing these things, then it allows you to plan ahead. So now you know that the wheels fall off when life gets crazy, when the bill, like it's the end of the month and maybe you're the lead of your company, and sales things are due and the bills are due at home, and I don't know, like there's gonna be consistencies that you guys are gonna find. Joe, you were talking about parent teacher conferences, like there's gonna be things. So like, what are these? And then that's the trigger. What's the habit that you create? And Joe, you're actually a really good one to come off mute and talk about this, because you talked to me about it, an old habit that you did. And then once you have identified that, now you can look at it, plan ahead. So now you know that shit is coming, because it's going to come every time, whether it's the end of the month, a yearly thing. Now you plan, how do I adjust for that and do something differently, so I'm not in that situation again and triggered and winding up choosing the wrong, paralyzing myself with perfection. Make sense? Joe, do you want to talk a little bit about parent teacher conferences and what, because you actually ran right in headfirst into the situation and came out pretty good on the other end.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those crazy days that comes up as teachers, and it's off of our normal schedule. And we're just back to back conferences the entire day. And I'm on a very like set schedule as far as like right now. I get up, I do my workout, like everything has its time that works perfectly for my meals. And that was not one of those days. So I'm like, how am I going to get through this day when still following my plan and being able to eat things? So I really ended up just breaking up like my snacks. Like, so I would have like, okay, I've got 2 minutes between these conferences, like eat your almonds, and like I just kind of broke up everything. I still ate everything and it was all packed in my bag. And it just, as I had a minute, I was like, oh, I have time now. I've got about 15 minutes. I can shake the shaker and drink this drink before my next conference. And you just made it work. But it was like, I had to remind myself, stop and eat. Like, you have 10 minutes right now. Like you have a break in your conference, eat now. So it was, I made it work,
but it was planning ahead too. So
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
If I hadn't had packed my food and really thought about it going into it, that this is how it was going to make it work, I probably would have just been like, oh, let me grab this bag of chips or this, because the teacher's lounge is full of snacks, right, Jen? Jen knows. I mean, it is like crazy town. There's snacks all the time. So we always look at each other and we say, just keep walking. Just keep walking.
Jennifer Dittman, as a teacher, do you have anything to add to what Joe just said? Because you both.
Oh my gosh, it was like so hard because like our principal is all about like treating us with crumble cookie and all that stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, like it's such a trigger for me because I love sweets, but I don't like the results that I get from it. So sometimes I have to like bang my head against the wall and like, feed into that. And then all of a sudden I realize, no, I don't really like the outcome of it, before I'm like, okay, I'll just say no. So,
or hide in the copy room.
Right. Or hide in the copy room, because that's what I was doing. I was like, okay, I'm just going to hide over here and do my copies. And then I'll just quickly zip through and not even look, or she has treats like on the table in buckets, like where we eat. And, I don't want to isolate myself. So I just like take that bucket and I move it over to the table and everybody makes fun of me. I'm like, I can't even have it in my face.
Oh, that is crazy,
No.
guys. I love it. So, but like I said, the moral of the story here is, you both did it. It's identifying, what is coming, planning ahead so you don't run into those situations, and really focusing on your end results and what you want, because we're always going to run into them. And the easiest thing to do is to slip into that place of paralyzing ourselves with perfection, because, oh shit, if we can't do it right, we might as well not do it at all. And this is something that, has lived with me my entire life, guys. That's why I bring it up. Like, I do this in all aspects of my life. I did it even when I was, in my other corporate life, doing things like that. And one of my mentors, bosses, one time said to me, and it stuck with me. She's like, stop paralyzing yourself with perfection. She's like, it's not doing you any good. I hired you for a reason, to do your damn job. Trust yourself. And that falls into the aspect of this with all of you guys too. Just do it. Trust yourself. And it's okay if you slip up and make a little bit of a mess. It's about really learning from it, moving forward, and not hiding from it. Because the thing that we want to do, like I talked about in the beginning, is we've got these tools that live inside of us, the intuitive self, the good, and the evil one, which is the ego. And the ego talks to us. I just had a really long one-on-one with somebody in the tribe where we talked a lot about the ego. And ego, guys, isn't always what you think it is. So a lot of people think ego is a chip on our shoulder. Ego is everything that I just listed. It is fear. Ego is it's the part of us that really struggles with the intuitiveness. Ego is the part that says you can't do that. Ego is the things that have been built into us from our childhood, things that are really tough for us to overcome because they're beliefs that society, our parents, people have put into us. And a lot of times it's just really looking at the ego. Ego talks a lot. Ego is the one that says, yeah, you can't do that, or nah, that's not possible. Or ego, for example, is like, I'm never going to be 20 pounds lighter. Nope. I'm never going to have guns like Jules. Nope. I'm never going to have a booty. Like, that is some self-limiting belief, when the reality is you can have anything the hell you want. Correct? Like, you can have it. It doesn't matter what it is. If you want to be a millionaire, guess what? You can be a millionaire. I hate to tell you guys, but all the multi-millionaires out there, we're us at one point in time. I'm here to tell you, all that they do differently than any one of us on this call is they truly believe that they can make millions, and they don't think anything about it. It's the only difference. Who agrees with me? Yeah, it's true. So it goes the same as like with our body types or anything. The only thing that separates me from an IFBB pro on that stage is the fact that that person never doubted themselves. That's not to say, so does that say that I doubt myself? Damn straight I do. It's the only reason I'm not standing on that stage. I doubt myself in certain aspects, but I have to own that shit. So just a little food for thought. Like, whenever we run into a roadblock like that, it generally has something to do with that damn ego. So again, tracking your habits, guys, so you can learn to give yourself grace, move forward, and then stop the self-sabotage when you see it happening again. So now you see it coming, you know it's coming, and you've got an alternate plan of how you're going to approach that versus falling into that old habit. Other things that you can do is to really commit to the fact that this is a lifestyle change, right? So what are the things that I can put into place? That's kind of what I'm talking about to create this lifestyle change. So, somebody just messaged me about sugar today in my direct messages. I can't tell you how many times I get that is a huge problem for people. They're like, well, I tend to lean to sweets. And I just had a whole conversation with her about how sweets are something that you fall into when you are overstressed, because it's a temporary relief that makes you feel better, but it's self-sabotage, because once you've eaten the sweets, which has given you the temporary relief and made you feel better because you sat in bed with that sweet or whatever you did, then catapults itself because now you feel guilty, right? Because you had the sweets and you set yourself off. So again, that's another idea of figuring out what, like writing the habit down. Well, shit, when I have a bad day at work, I really want to lean into sugar, or I want to sit in bed with a bag of chips, or I want to do XYZ. Identify it. Maybe you don't right now, but you don't want to fall into that. Identify it. And what can you do differently to address that? Well, my simple solution is go for a fucking walk. Kick up your endorphins. Get outside, because endorphins are way more powerful than sugary snacks, and they do the same damn thing. So you don't, if you've already been to the gym and did your thing or whatever, just lace up your tennis shoes and go for a walk. Get yourself out of the environment, allow yourself, your brain to go someplace else. Get yourself moving, because the endorphins, the happy endorphins, are going to start to fly. They're more powerful, and they pretty much do the same thing that the sugar snacks are doing to the brain. They're going to give it a temporary relief, feel-good relief. But here's the bonus, and who can agree with me on it? The after effect is positive versus the negative of, oh shit. Who's felt that? You do it, you slip up, you have the snack, and I don't care how big or small the snack is, then you're like, God damn it. Because now you feel like you failed, and it's still gonna happen, guys. Like, and it's okay, and that's about letting go and giving grace, but then it's also about going, well, how can I do this differently the next time? Makes sense? Drop some fire and tell me this makes sense. Or just say makes sense and give me a thumbs up. All right. So the other thing that I can say, guys, is to create balance in your life. You're all kicking ass and doing really, really good. But what you really need to do is also like have that balance in your life. So that's where I say, like on Silly Saturdays, you see me in the Facebook group. You know, it's also, that's why I encourage you guys on Sundays to have active rest days, finding that balance and doing something else. Today, you know what I'm doing? I hit the gym. I've gotten everything pretty much done. And we're going to talk a little bit about that inside in the housekeeping, but even me, your coach, I'm guilty of it. I don't give myself space to have balance in my life. And when I don't do that, things catapult. And then I start to fall off my own plan, or I struggle with staying on my own plan. I get frustrated. So I have to learn to put a little more balance in my life. So for example, today, I'm gonna get a pedicure. I'm gonna go explore Tulum because I don't do that enough. I've been living here and I'm like, what am I doing? Like I should be out like on a daily basis or at least a weekly basis, like exploring. And I just, what happened when I first got here, like I said, I share this with you because I'm as guilty of it as the next person. I did that and then I fell into work. And I sit here in my little condo and I work and I'm like, what am I doing? I need to like be enjoying and exploring. So I know it looks like I'm like always out and about. I'm really not. I'm just walking to the grocery store or the gym or something like that. That's all I'm doing. But does that make sense, guys? Does this help? Yay. Who's committed to doing some tracking over the next week to just see where those, do we think this is a good idea? Amazing. All right. I want to open it up right now, guys, to, that's your homework, is to start tracking. That's your action item that I want you to do. Start just tracking your days, your habits, good, bad, and indifferent. See if you see any patterns, right? Then the next time you can check back in with me if you want and just let me know, like, hey, here's some of the patterns that I've noticed. And these are some of the things that I think I can do differently to address these. So just kind of look, that's all that it is. It's just about tracking your days, seeing if you notice patterns, seeing if you notice triggers that are happening, and what are the things that you can do differently to move around those triggers. All right, I'm opening it up. Any questions, guys?
Has anyone else noticed a green bean shortage?
There's a green beans shortage.
I think I've been to 4 grocery stores and I cannot find green beans anywhere.
Oh no, frozen.
I'll have to go frozen. That's it. That's
I
all
get the
have.
frozen ones at Costco in the big bag.
Okay.
Those ones are good.
And that's
Fresh is not available.
Yeah, and that's actually a very good tip, guys. Whenever fresh isn't available, frozen is the next best. Canned, but if you gotta have frozen vegetables, they're the next best next to canned. Green beans.
I haven't had green beans. So the meal plans you give us, I'm basically doing my best to stick to that when I don't screw up what you were talking about. But I built these terrible habits all these years, but I'm very proud of myself. But you're right. I do have that mentality when I screw up. Fuck it. Let me have that Reese's Buttercup.
Right.
But I'm very proud of myself that I continue and I haven't given up. I was telling Jules, all these years I've tried all these different diets and failed all of them or gave up.
Right.
This is the first
Gave up.
time I gave up. I said, screw it. I can't do it. That mentality, the ego. So I'm very, very grateful, but I haven't had green beans. So I'm following the meal plan and green beans hasn't been in mind, but can we switch it up?
Great
The
question.
greens?
So everybody here on this particular call, you can absolutely switch up your vegetables if you want to, like green for green. So I usually give you suggestions of what I think would be good, but as far as veggies go, you guys can switch them up. The things that I would be careful of is sometimes I have certain things in your meal plan, and I wouldn't say be careful. Just be aware of these things. Like I do put things like cabbage, asparagus, broccoli, bok choy, things like that in your meal plan because they actually, if you did not know this, help to keep our estrogen at a reasonable level. So a lot of times the guy, and so they help keep our estrogen lower. So don't ever omit it. And also remember, if you love broccoli, not to actually eat too much broccoli because you can bloat. That's why I only usually have broccoli in your meal plan like once a day, because overeating broccoli can actually give you a bellyache. But yeah, you can replace any greens at all. Just remember, like, to throw those in every once in a while, especially around that time of the month. So if some of you guys are still in that time of the month, if you kick up those types of vegetables, it will help, because when you have cravings during that time of the month, or if you're in menopause, premenopause, also in the estrogen, it all has to do with estrogen raising. So that time of the month, we go through a shift in our mood because your estrogen elevates. So a way of keeping the estrogen lower is by eating some of those crucifix, which is bok choy, asparagus, broccoli, cabbage, they all help to lower estrogen. So if you ever picked up a bottle of DIM, which is a supplement that sometimes doctors will recommend to help lower your estrogen, that's all that it is. It's all of those things. So all I'm doing is putting them in your meal plan. So to answer your question, Lisa, hopefully that answered it. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, spinach is another one. Switch them up all you want. Just keep in mind, like, you might want to keep some of those in there as well. But yeah, you can have green beans. I usually stick them in people's meal plan when I give you like turkey and sweet potato. It's really hard for me not to give you guys shit that's my favorite. So like when I'm building meal plans, I'm like giving you mixtures that are yummy to me. So I love, like, I can't help it. It just comes through my head. I love ground turkey, sweet potato, and green beans. So whenever I give you guys that, I always throw green beans in there because it's like one of my favorite meals, which, by the way, green beans are hard to find here in Mexico.
Wow.
Okay, so I had the sweet potatoes and turkey this week for my first time.
That's good.
And I made like little meatballs without like the breading, just seasoned. And then, oh my gosh, they were so good. So just mashed the sweet potato and I just measured out like how much, and then just mixed them up and just baked them with seasoning. They were so good.
How amazing is that? What a great
They
idea.
were-
You need to like drop that in the group. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, I will, although I have to say it's not a perfect recipe because I took a recipe and I just dropped everything out that I couldn't have, like the breadcrumbs. And it's still, I was a little nervous it wouldn't stay together, but it was fine.
That's
It
a
was very
great
yummy.
idea. I love it. I
That
love it.
sounds
yummy.
good.
Yeah.
We could always use flaxseed meal too as like a binder.
Oh,
as
that's a good
a-
idea.
Like I've
Yeah.
because I couldn't find my kashi oatmeal cookies either, so I made my own, and I did the flaxseed meal as an egg binder. So
Good idea.
I get creative
Yeah. I
and
love
take
it.
out all the extra sugar and stuff and replace it with stuff that we can have.
Yeah.
Do you have a place
Or that
where
was just-
people could put their recipes or things that
Guys
they
can
cook, like
drop
to give
them.
everybody
Yeah,
ideas?
no. I would utilize any of the groups to do that, guys. So if you guys come up with recipes,
That'd be awesome.
yeah, just drop them in Tribe Talk for people. Here's the only thing that I ask that when you guys do that, because you see there's certain people in there that'll be like, oh, just remind everybody like, this is on my meal plan. This is what I did, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's cool. But when you see somebody jumping in, like, and getting excited, because remember in any of those groups, we got newbies in there as well, which is totally cool. I don't mind that you do it. You can drop it in the Facebook group too. You can do whatever you want. I'm just letting you know, like when you see that happen, like even, Amber or I are in there going, putting fires out, but it's just like, hey
Yeah.
guys, but if you guys preference it and go, listen, this is what I did. I have this on my meal plan. And this is what I did with it. That's all.
And the other question is, what about those meals? Is it the Get Fit meals that you could order? Like, just say there's weeks that you're going to be real busy.
So I love the MegaFit meals myself.
Mega Fit. Okay.
Yep. And we actually have Jackie on here. She travels a lot, super busy. So I'm actually going to open the floor to her because she's been on MegaFit for like almost 3 weeks. She loves it. So
yeah, I think I've been on it longer than that, but it literally, I mean, not only does it taste good, but it literally has just opened up my schedule because I am always busy. But also with traveling, like Joel said, it's so nice just to grab and go. And then like when I travel, I normally will stop at a grocery store and get all my food, and I have to find a hotel that has like a kitchen in it so I can like do some cooking. So the MegaFit has just alleviated so much stress, and it's just made my life easy.
So they will be able to prepare. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. Because I was looking into that because we're about to remodel our kitchen, and I have the sense that I don't even know how I'm going to food prep with no kitchen.
Yeah.
So I was looking at that, but I didn't know, like, as I was looking at the website, how you pick things that match your meal plan. So, or is that Jewel, something that we talk to you about? Okay.
So
yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, so Jewel like puts the actual meals on your meal plan, and then so like my lunches, actually I don't eat a full meal. I have to split them in half. So you have to weigh out your proteins, you have to weigh out your veggies and stuff, and so you just split those beforehand, and your Tupperwares like you would like meal prepping.
Okay.
So it Jules makes it super easy. So I'll have on there like my MegaFit blueberry muffins, my MegaFit, cod and stuff like that. And so it's super simple, and it's not as difficult as you may think it is.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
so to
thank
add
you.
on what she's saying, guys, if you guys want to do it, you just got to say, hey, Jules, put some MegaFit in my meals. So then what I do is I'll choose the meals for you, as she said.
Okay.
Like if you guys find super ones that you want to use, but I still like that you can say, hey, I like this. We may run into problems sometimes. So I'll take for example, Courtney's on them as well. And she gave me a bunch of things. She's kind of in a place where she's really kind of maintaining right now, kind of like, she's still losing, but she's in a different phase. So we I allowed her to change up her food. She gave me a bunch of things that she liked. And while she's really maintaining and looking good, she's struggling with bloat and stuff like that. Well, then when I dived deep into her MegaFit meals, I went, girlfriend, we got a lot of cheese in here, because there's some that have it. So I just redid her meal plan and pulled back, because while she was still looking good, like her weight was going up, but she was still fitting into her clothes. And I was like, but we knew it wasn't all muscle. And because she was telling me, she's like, she goes, it's really weird. She's like, I'm bloated. And then I looked at her food and I went, oh shit, like you have the protein cheesecakes in there at night, which has got dairy in it. You've got She just had a bunch of things, like she was eating a Nashville pizza. She had quesadilla, like we just put way too much of that in it. So sometimes that's why I like to pick it, because I had let her pick and we just had too much. So I had to go back. So I'll usually pick them for you. You'll tell me, like, you know, like what you like. And then what Jackie is talking about is they're very big. Okay. So I don't, the meals are huge portions. So they're usually too much for you. Like, so the good news is when you look at the price tag, you're like, well, shit, but you got to remember, you're going to get 2 meals out of that one. So usually it'll last you quite a long time. Jackie can tell you how many weeks hers last. Like, you do have to order like in a box of 12. It's the smallest that you can order. They ship to your house free of charge. You can get on a subscription. The cool thing about the subscription is you can skip it. If you're going to be out of town, they're going to remind you, hey, your subscription's coming this week on blah, blah, blah. You just go, no, thank you, skip. I have enough food this week. Or Jules changes your meal plan. You just go into your subscription, you go change subscription, delete, 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 add, and you save money by being on a subscription, and you never forget your food. It just shows up at your door. But like I said, the smallest box you guys can order is a box of 12. What they do is they cook your food fresh, they freeze it, they pack it on dry ice and ship it right to your door. So it arrives like within 2 days. So it's fresh food, but the macros are huge. So basically what I do is I have you cut a meal in half. Now you have to remember, so like think about, I'll use for an example, a turkey fiesta bowl. It's going to have the beef and the rice all mixed together, right? And the vegetables. So you just in your brain can't go slice in half. You want to kind of make sure, that's what Jackie was saying, that you're like actually splitting the protein and the carbohydrates in half. Does that make sense? Like, you just kind of got to be smart about it. Like, if you just slice it in two, and I don't know, the container when they packed it slipped and all the meat's on this side and all the rices, then you got an issue. So you just got to be, that's what Jackie's talking about. Like, you just got to kind of be smart. So those are kind of the pros and cons of it. But yeah, all you have to do, guys, if that's what you want, is just say, hey, Jules, in my next phase, can you build me a mega fit meal? And I'll do it. And for everybody that's tuning in, if you are listening to this recording, if you are in your phase 2, phase 3, this is about when this is going to come, which all of you guys here are on that. I usually don't do it before phase 2 or 3. All right. Any other questions? No? Come and stay. All right. So I'm just going to go, if there's no other questions, I am going to do some housekeeping before we leave. Oh, there's Joe. She's coming back. Joe dropped off. I just need to go back to my note, do a little, Joe.
Jules, are you going to send that journal again out? Are you going to send the link?
Yes.
Or okay.
Yep, I'm going to send the journal link.
Okay.
And I'm going to send the link to the 2 wolves. Thank you for reminding me. When I'll do all of that, I'm going to actually drop them in the comments here. And I'll do it all when I send the recording of this over to the Tribe Talk. Okay.
Sounds great. Thanks.
Joe, did you have any questions before I move on to housekeeping? You kind of.
No, I did. Yeah, I hung myself up, you know, I'm technology challenged sometimes. I don't know. My husband was asking me questions and he's like, I'm going to the grocery store. You want me to try to find green beans? I was like, yes. Every time you go to the store, we need green beans. So I tried to do that download on that journal several weeks ago when you first posted it, and the QR or the promo code never worked. I tried it multiple times, multiple ways. So I would just check it.
Okay,
Maybe.
let me just double check it. It might have happened in my website, so I'll just make sure the code works.
Okay.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, guys, so just a little bit of housekeeping if you're cool with that. So we talked kind of about the check-ins. You guys have all been doing really great with that. The only thing that I'm going to add about the check-ins right now is that Amber's going to be, as you saw that she dropped in the tribe group, that she asked you guys for days, she made some changes to my schedule. So number one, we'll call her, so Amber has 2 profiles in the app. Amber is Amber, my client, and she is also Amber, Coach Amber. Okay. So Coach Amber can actually message you. So you'll see her. She's actually, her profile is Coach Amber. She's got a gunshot coming out. She can actually private message you. You can private message her. She's in the group. So she kind of mixes it up with how she comes in, depending on if she's at the gym or not. But a couple of things that she's going to do. One, she's going to help start taking some things off of my plate that she can do that you guys really would want her to do versus me doing. So things like, so as you said, she's taken over the Facebook group. She runs the challenges. And by the way, she really wants y'all to get a little bit more involved. She runs the challenges, and she's probably going to start doing a little bit more in the Facebook group. She runs Tribe Talk. I'm not in there that much just because I allow her to run it. I am more in the other groups with you guys. And then as you noticed, she talked about, she's actually fixing my schedule. So she's making it easier for me to do check-ins so I don't get so behind. What she asked me to share with you guys is that she's working on moving everything on your schedules for this week, but she may not get to everybody because I just showed her how to do it a day ago. So she may not get to it, and just to go ahead and check in on what she posted in the group. So like follow her schedule, but she is working on shifting your calendar so it will show up on the right day, but it might not this week. So if it doesn't show up on the right day this week, but you know, she said, oh, I'm Mondays now, then just go ahead and check in on that Monday. But she'll get it all switched up. The second thing that I want to tell you that she's going to help me with, which is really kind of cool, and it's going to be very good for you guys, is there on the app, there's compliance. I don't know if you guys know this. So it shows me how compliant you are. So because we're getting bigger, she's going to start paying attention to the compliance. The bonus is she's going to be able to give me a heads up if any of you guys are slipping through the cracks and be like, yo, this is going on over here. You might want to dive a little deeper in with, we'll just say Joe, for example. I'm not picking on you, Joe, but you get it. Like, this is something I see that hasn't been hitting her workouts regularly. I just want to give you a heads up on this as you do your check-in. She also, we were going through, might do things like if she sees, like, I'll use her as an example. So she got a little freaked out. We were looking at compliance. She goes, why am I at 85% compliance? I do all my workouts. Well, when I opened up her calendar and I showed her, she's like, oh, I don't do the stretches. And I said, there you go. That's why you're 85 compliant. And I gave her an example. I said, so if you were coaching yourself, what I would do is show up in your DMs and go, hey, listen, you're kicking ass right now. Love everything that you're doing. Just want to remind you that those stretches are in there for a reason. Jules has those in there. So I'm telling you guys, you may see her show up and do a little bit of reminding and coaching for you only on little things like that. There was somebody else that, was hitting their goals and really kicking ass, but wasn't checking off their walks. Okay. They were doing them. They just weren't checking them off, but it lowers your compliance because you're not checking it off. Makes sense? So she's going to do her due diligence and make sure she's like looking at and going, okay, why is this happening? So I'm telling you this for 2 reasons. One, you're going to see her in the DM. 2, the more that you are, like, if you do the walk, you do the workout and you just go, oh, I won't check it off. I mean, I did it. You could get tagged in compliance. The reason why we're going to lean into the compliance more is there's more and more of you. So it gives me a big picture and allows me to see what's happening. So like we almost have to, I'm leaning into the compliance issue or the compliance tool on the app to help me better coach you. And then she's actually going to utilize it to help you better that was a tongue twister, coach you. Does that make sense? All right, so that was it. I want you to let you know that she's going to start doing that. You might see her show up and you're like, hey, where did she come from? Well, how is she messaging me? Your conversations, I can't see. Okay, those are conversations with you and her. So I wanted to let you know she can't see my conversations with you. All that she can do is see an overview of all of you on my team. She can't see anything real detailed about you. She just sees an overview. And she's able to direct message you privately as a coach. Cool.
Yes.
So is
I have
her
a
little picture gonna be like on the side like yours is?
I guess not. We were looking at that, and that's the thing. Like, she said that she can message, and she's actually messaged a few of you guys.
yes. It's a
and-
drop down menu. So if you go in to
Okay.
PMs or DMs, what is it? DMs, private message. Yeah.
private-
Anyway, so when you click on that, there's a drop down and you'll see where Jules, and then right above, you'll see that you can private message her. Cause I wondered how I private
Oh.
message her. I was like, I don't even know how to private message her, but that's how. It's just like you
Right.
click on Jules's picture and then you'll see there's a little
Okay.
drop down menu.
Got it. Got
Thank
it.
you, because I did not know, and she
Just-
didn't know either.
Yeah, well, she messaged me and I'm like, how the, because I kept seeing that it looked like a message had come through from you. And I'm like, I don't even understand. I don't see any missed messages. And then I noticed at the top, there's a little like drop down menu. And I was like, oh, there's her message. So,
Okay, so I can message her directly like
Yep,
that.
yep,
Like I would
yep.
Jules, but I just have to
That's
scroll.
really good to know. Joe, if you can drop that in transform in 90, because those everybody that's so not she only manages that those of you guys that are in my full-time group. So yeah, in the transform in 90 group, if you can just drop a message, because neither one of us we can't see
Okay.
it.
It was just I happened and stumbled upon it. I was like, I didn't even know. Like she kept saying like private message me. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. So it just worked out. But I do have a question. You know, like at the beginning when I first started, I was getting like those stretch exercises and I sent you a message about this. Is there a way like that it can be part of like our options
yeah.
to pick at the plus sign? Because I just like the other day I was so flipping sore and I'm like, I just wish that I could like pick one of those exercises just to stretch for the day.
Yeah. Yep, all I have to
Okay.
do is add it to your library. I usually have them in there, but you private message me. I haven't gotten into it. I did.
Okay, no worries.
So
No
what
worries.
happens sometimes, guys, and this is like a problem I have to figure out how to solve. And don't feel bad about reminding me again. So if I'm out and I'm on my phone, what happens is a bunch of you guys will private message me. I open up your message, for example, Joe, I see that you messaged me about that. I can't add it to your library until I get to my desktop. Now what I did, and I'm not making it, I'm just telling, I'm being really real with you guys. Like if things happen, like now I opened your message. I don't have a way, unfortunately, this is the fault of the app, of marking you as unread. So like I remember to go back to you, and then a bunch of other DMs will come in. Like until you just said it, I went, oh shit, that's right. I was supposed to do that. But what happened is I went to do it immediately because that's how I work. Like I'm like, oh, let me just add that. And I was like, oh shit, I can't add it right now because I'm on my phone and I'm not by my laptop. So yeah, if that ever happens, guys, just message me again and go, hey, you know, let me know, like whatever, just follow up with me. But I just wrote it down, so I will add it in. But yes,
Can you
Okay,
do
great.
for me too, Jules? Will you do
Yep.
that for me too?
Yep. So Joe and Jennifer. And that's, I do that a lot for you guys too. Like if you're traveling, like, so for example, Jackie had to drop off, but like a lot of times, like when Jackie's traveling, she's like, or Jennifer and Elena travel a lot as well. They'll just ask me to drop into their library, like home or hotel workouts. So anybody that's tuning in, you two ladies that are here, or anybody that's tuning in later, like if you need something, like if you're traveling, what I don't do is I don't change your whole workout schedule. Like I'm going to leave you because I program your program for like 4 to 6 weeks. I leave you there because for me to go in and change, like, you know, I've got well over 60 of you. So I can't like go in. So I leave it as it is. But what I can do when I get alert from one of you guys, like, hey, I'm traveling, I'm going on vacation. I think Jennifer, we're going to do it with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you just got to remind me like a week ahead of time, give me some time, be like, hey, I'm traveling. Remember we talked about this, or hey, just wanted to give you a heads up. And then I just go in and drop it into your library. So then what you do is say you got legs that day, right? I haven't removed it, but you can go into your library and go, okay, there's the leg program for workout. So then you just add it to that day and then delete the other one and do it.
Okay, sounds good.
That's the easiest way to do it. Otherwise, I'm like, imagine me, I'd be in there, you know, redoing your calendar. So I just drop it in there and then let you guys grab it. And this brings up another point. I'm just going to say this. Neither one of you asked this question, but it's come up a lot lately. So a lot of times, also, you got to remember there's a lot of you in here. So a lot of times I can't always remember what equipment you have at your gym, what equipment, like I know what you have, but sometimes I'm going to mess up and I'm going to stick something in. And I can't remember that you don't have an assisted pull-up machine or that you don't have a Smith machine or whatever. Even at your gym, you don't have a vertical leg press. What you need to do in those situations is all you do is back out the tool that I have you using. So say I have, everybody has this, but I'm just going to use it as an example. Barbell bicep curl. If you back out barbell, or let's say I have, better yet, let's say I have cable bicep curl. If you back out cable and leave bicep curl, it's going to pop up every bicep curl exercise possible. Then you just pick the one that you can do because you have the equipment. So, and you can actually,
It's on the substitutes inside
yeah, you
there
can
too. Like,
substitute it for the day, or you can even, I don't know if you guys know this, you can, if this is something that you don't have in your gym and you're going to be, you can substitute it for the whole program.
Oh,
You don't even have
that's
to
good.
do it every day. Like you can choose the whole workout. So like if you have squats and I have sumo squats on with a barbell, and you don't have a Smith machine, or I have Smith machine sumo squats and you're like, well, I don't have a Smith machine or whatever. You see what I'm saying? If you back it out, or if you're traveling and you're like, you've been doing Smith machine, you know, sumo squats, but you get to the, you know, the gym when you're traveling, you're like, damn it, this gym doesn't have a Smith machine. What am I going to do on the fly? Right. Because you actually are in a gym and but you're at a different gym. You just back it out and you look for what you have. And then you can just do a single day switch. So just heads up on that, guys. That way, because sometimes I will forget, or I just, you know, whatever.
I do have a question that Jen and I have been having this conversation a lot lately, you know, trying to find something, you know, I had put one of my goals was to try to find my own gym, something that was, you know, my own membership. And so we've been talking a lot about trying to find something. Do you have any suggestions like in the Las Vegas area of like specific gyms that you would recommend?
Yeah.
Maybe in the northwest side of town?
I honestly, guys, well, actually, my number one recommendation, although it can get busy, I highly recommend it because there's so many locations and it's less expensive, is LVAC.
Okay.
They're all over the place. So no matter where you are, like if you happen to be like, that was what I loved about, I love hate with LVAC. There's certain locations that were very, very busy that annoyed the shit out of me.
yes,
Times.
that's my problem. That's what I was telling Joe.
Here's the other thing. I used to go to about 3 different locations depending on where I was. That was the beauty of it. I could walk into any one. ESO is another one.
Mm-hmm.
They're a little bit more pricey, I believe, sometimes than LVAC, but I think Amber belongs to ESO. And
that's where I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's where I've been going, you know, like because that's my husband and my son both have memberships there. So that is where I'm going. So I'm kind of back and forth. I did walk into the Las Vegas Athletic Club, but they wouldn't do like just a while. I just want to try. Like I just wanted to see what the gym felt like for $20 for the day. And I was like, and then you have to do a 2-year membership. And I was like, I'm not committed for 2 years, but
well, I'll tell you what, you don't have to, but I did a 2-year, went by like, and it was super cheap. Like it was so crazy cheap to do the 2-year. Like I did it too. And I will tell you, it was worth it to me because even though the up front was a lot, like when I looked at the big, I didn't want to do it either, but when I looked at the big picture, I was like, damn, this is super cheap. And then the other one is, and you can ask Amber about this because I think that she just switched. She does UFC.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's all right.
I don't know the price. I've never been to it. She just changed to it. She was doing, I just heard her say, she's like, oh, I'm going to a new gym now. I think her and Dawn might have switched to UFC. So those, but the two that I went to were either ESO or LVAC. Other gyms that I like, that I can recommend to you guys they're just gonna be more money. So Kilo Club, wait, you're where are you?
Northwest.
That ain't gonna work. So in Summerlin, there's Kilo Club. If you like exclusivity and privacy and you don't want to be bothered by anybody and you want to go into a gym that is 1,000% clean, spot on, everything works and it's never crowded, and you live in Summerlin, Kilo Club is it, but it's going to cost you. But it's also like, it's a private club, it's 24/7, you're never going to be bothered. Like you and like, it's probably the best gym I've ever been to. They treat you really well. Like there are girls in the tribe that go to Kilo Club. The other one that is really a nice gym, but again, it's a little less than Kilo Club, is Dragon's Lair is right in the middle. So it's off the 215. It's like in the middle of everything. It's over by, you know where the Silverado Casino is? Off of Blue Dot. It's like right there.
Oh, it's like south from us, way south.
Probably, yeah. So
yeah.
But I mean, it's kind of in the middle. Like I used to like it was easy for me because I was, no matter where I was, I could actually get into it, but it's a little bit more too. It had a lot of bodybuilders in it too. So, but it has every piece of equipment you could ever want, like, because it's set up for bodybuilders. And it's not as pricey as Kilo Club. It's actually got a decent membership rate for it. It's not too bad. But those particular gyms. So when you get into the private gyms that are like that, they become a little bit more expensive than like the big massive ones. So you just have to like, you got to consider like, do I want to deal with this?
Yeah.
Well, and it's like anything else, you wind up paying for it,
Right. I mean, because that's like we're paying for kickboxing, which we love for that, and we like that small gym feel. But then at the same time, I'm like, if I would eliminate that and go someplace where I could get like a good cardio, be small gym feel, and get all my weightlifting in, I'd be open to it. But there's really not any options in this area. It seems, at least.
I'll research in your area a little bit more. I lived kind of, like I said, in that middle area. So
yeah.
You're getting me like where I lived, like right down in the middle. So those were the ones that I would frequent. You can also Google a few and I can look them up. Amber, I might be more in your area too. Amber and the
okay.
UFC,
I'll send her a message.
Yeah, UFC is also, I think that's why she's going to UFC, because it's a smaller gym.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of people that we know that go to UFC. Unfortunately, it's just in this, it's in that terrible like shopping center to get into. So in the mornings it would be fine, but at night, if you wanted to go at night, it's like Trader Joe's is over there. There's so much over there that I'm like, I hate driving up there. If I can avoid it, I do. So I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm like, I got to go up there. Like, I don't want to feel that way to go to the gym. I don't want to set myself up to have that. I want to be.
I don't blame
so
you.
it might end up just being like I, go over with my husband and my son and just join there. But I was just looking to see what else was out there before I committed to anything.
And that's like I said, like and to your point, like I can look at some other, like I said, areas for you, but just to, like I said, add on to that for you is that, actually, I don't even need to be recording this anymore.